And welcome into this edition of ACAP Today for the week of May 24th, 2021. I'm Jason Parent with the Aroostook County Action Program. On this week's continuing Community Action Month series program of ACAP Today, we'll be pleased to welcome Sue Powers, ACAP's Director of Programs, and 3 parents of children enrolled in ACAP early care and education programs, specifically child care programs, of which ACAP has recently expanded. We'll talk about the urgent need for more child care here in Aroostook County, especially here in central Aroostook County, as well as the impact of the early care and education programs that ACAP offers countywide. We'll have that in just a few moments, but before we get to that, as we always do at this point in our broadcast, we are pleased to share with you some news and information that you can use, again, for the week of May 24th, 2021. And we begin our news and information that you can use segment this week by sharing with you that our agency, the Aroostook County Action Program, has recently acquired the property adjacent to our Gouldville Early Care and Education Center in the city of Presque. This is the 50 Park Street property here in the photograph on the screen. It now becomes part of the Gouldville campus, the Early Care and Education Center, the historic Gouldville School that sits there to the right of the photo. This will allow us for some much needed parking expansion on that small parcel of land. It will also allow us to have the home there serve as the headquarters for the leadership team of our early care and education program that oversees our ECE or early care and education programs countywide. So we definitely want to thank the homeowners at 50 Park Street for allowing us to proceed with the purchase of this home. And we will be making that official this summer by moving our early care and education leadership team and making some changes to the traffic flow and parking pattern at the Gouldville Early Care and Education Center. So great progress to watch there as we continue to expand our programs and serve more children. We also want to remind folks of the critical importance and urge folks to consider getting their COVID-19 vaccine. These are some of the friendly faces of ACAP team members who have received their COVID-19 vaccine. A list of vaccination sites is available at maine.gov/COVID-19/vaccines. You can also avail yourself of a free ride to a vaccine clinic site. The information is there on your screen, including the phone number. It's asked that you call 48 hours in advance and let folks know when your appointment is with the transportation provider so that that can be activated and the ride can be booked. There are also a number of county providers that are providing vaccination clinics at their respective locations. Those are available on the maine.gov website, also can be found on ACAP's Facebook page, and we encourage you to log in and do that. There will also be, I should say, a complimentary ad media campaign that you will start to see and hear on local media with local celebrities encouraging people to get their vaccine and sharing the reasons why they have gotten their vaccine. Be on the lookout for that soon through the Aroostook County media. The next piece of information that we wanted to make sure to share with you is that there is an emergency broadband benefit program that is now available to eligible families. This is part of a federal initiative to help lower the cost of high-speed internet for eligible households during this ongoing COVID-19 pandemics. You can get up to $50 a month on it as a discount for your broadband services, or up to $75 a month for a discount on broadband services for a household on tribal lands. There is also a one-time discount of up to $100 for a laptop, desktop, or tablet purchase from a participating provider. This is an important benefit to help people stay connected during the pandemic with remote learning and things like that happening. This is especially important. Check out the Federal Communication Commission, or FCC's website. The address is there on your screen. We can also help you navigate that as well if you contact the agency. But we want to make sure that we make folks aware of this availability. The eligibility guidelines are available on the FCC website as well. In the coming month, if you see special stickers on adult beverages and coolers and grocery and convenience stores in Aroostook County, there is a reason why. The ACAP Drug-Free Aroostook Coalition and Carey Medical Center's Power Prevention are partnering on this regional initiative that communities all over the state and all over the country are engaged in to prevent alcohol-related deaths and injuries. This is an especially meaningful time of year as there are celebrations, end of school year celebrations, proms and graduations and the like, and oftentimes tragic situations occur as a result of folks celebrating at that time. So the program is called Sticker Shock, and it's sponsored by the Maine Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The project aims to reach individuals over the age of 21 who might consider legally purchasing alcohol and then providing it to a minor. So there are stickers that are being placed across Aroostook County by ACAP's Robin Thurston and Power Prevention's Kim Parent, as well as members of the coalition, including youth themselves, to remind individuals if they're thinking of buying alcohol that they are not to allow 21 and under to consume that alcohol. If your store is out there and would like to participate in this, or if you have any questions about the program, you can contact Robin Thurston here at ACAP, that number 498-9602, or email her at rthurston@acap-me.org. The child care program here at ACAP, which we're going to be talking about in just a few moments with our guests on this week's ACAP Today, has openings at both our Holton and our Caribou Center, a very limited number of openings, but we recognize that we have a high demand for childcare right now. There's a waiting list, as you're going to hear from our guests in just a little bit, at our Early Care and Education Center in Presque, and normally we do have a waiting list for these two other facilities as well, but in a rarity at this time we have availabilities. So if you have a child and would like to enroll them in an early care and education program in either Caribou or Holton, you can contact us at 764-3721, or you can go right onto the ACAP website for an application. The Northern Light AR Gould Hospital celebrated National Hospital Week recently, and as part of their celebration, they did an agency or organization-wide, I should say, food drive to collect non-perishable food items that were provided both to United Way of Aroostook and the Aroostook County Action Program. We want to say many thanks to the very generous staff at Northern Light AR Gould Hospital for doing this food drive and for providing the food items that you see pictured here. They will be appearing in community cupboards here in Central Aroostook over the coming weeks and help stock those shelves. They're very high in demand right now, given the hardship that many folks in the county are facing. And so thank you again to our friends at Northern Light AR Gould Hospital for their generosity at this time. We also want to acknowledge our friends at the United Way of Aroostook, and as well as the organization No Child Goes Hungry, for sponsoring and supporting our Traveling Totes program. This is a program that allows children enrolled in our early care and education programs to go home at the end of each week with totes full of snacks, activities, and resources to take home to their families. And then those totes are returned the following week and then again issued out at the end of the week, so that families have both things to do over the weekend, but most importantly, do have food to eat and to put on their plates, so that the children are well fed over the weekend. Of course, we provide very nutritious meals and snacks for families, for children who are participating in our programs during the week, but want to make sure that they are taken care of on the weekend as well. Speaking of food items, the WIC program, the Women, Infant, and Children's program, is providing extra funds in June, July, August, and September for families enrolled in the program to purchase more fruits and vegetables. This is a farmer's market and produce season coming right up here in Maine. So there'll be an extra $35 on every WIC, for every WIC participant 12 months and older, for the purchase of fruits and vegetables in the months of June, July, August, and September. We want to remind folks out there that if you are not enrolled in the WIC program, the income eligibility guidelines for the WIC program are actually significantly more easy or liberal than they are for many other programs. So we encourage you, if you have young children in your household or are a pregnant mom, please do consider contacting us to see if you're eligible for the WIC program. An extra $35 in the months of June, July, and August each month, and September, I should say, each month, to purchase fruits and vegetables. Healthy fruits and vegetables could certainly help your family a long way in the summer months here. So please do consider reaching out to us. 768-3026 is the direct line for our WIC program, and we'd be happy to enroll you in the WIC program if you are eligible, and if you are currently a WIC customer, share with you more information about this particular program, the $35 benefit, that is. The Public Health Genetics Week is this week. We are currently celebrating Public Health Genetics Week. ACAP, in partnership with another organization that we had as a previous guest on this program, are working collaboratively on issues and challenges faced by the community that are related to genetics. And so we want to definitely mark this week that is dedicated to improving public health and preventing disease, and the promotion of that information. We want to thank all of those who work in public health and around genetics in particular, and look at individuals and provide guidance on laws and regulations that affect individuals with genetic conditions and much more. So we join our friends in celebrating and marking Public Health Genetics Week. We also want to let folks know that the community closet continues to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to anyone in need at our 771 Main Street facility near Walmart. The community closet is available for individuals to pick up clothing or to drop off clothing. We accept clothing donations 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're dropping off your clothing between Monday and Friday from 8 to 5 p.m., you can bring it right to our front door and we'll take it into the building. If you're dropping off after hours, just leave it in the community closet. If you'd like to hang it on hangers and place it on the hangers on the hooks there yourselves, you're welcome to do that, but we otherwise will sort through it and get those clothing items out in the closet in the coming days. So again, a reminder that that service is available, and we have some great new clothes that is donated on a regular basis, and gently used clothes that's donated on a regular basis and available for anyone, no questions asked and no hassles, 24/7. If your family is in need of navigation services, ACAP does offer navigation services. If you don't know what services you might be eligible for, but know that you have a need at this time, this is the perfect opportunity to reach out to an ACAP navigator. The number is 764-3721. Please do feel free to reach out if you are in need of anything. We can help connect you with the services both within our agency and also help get referrals and connect you with services outside of our agency as is deemed necessary. So don't be shy and don't hesitate. Do contact us. And we also want to remind folks, lastly, that we are hiring here at the Aroostook County Action Program. Like many employers, it's a tight labor market right now, but we're a really great employer. We offer great benefits and really a purpose-driven mission work that you're doing here. So if you like working in the community, like making a difference in your community, consider applying for positions within our team. We currently have position openings as is slated here in Central Aroostook and up in the St. John Valley. We have been looking for a social worker, a navigator, and a family coach up in the St. John Valley for a period of time. If you are listening on one of the St. John Valley cable access channels, WOWL channel 16 in Madawaska, or WFKT TV channel 4 in Fort Kent, and you say, hey, I might be interested in applying for that position and have a background that would be conducive to that work, please do reach out. We are on Indeed. You can also check out information on our job postings on our Facebook page as well. And that's this week's news and information that you can use. And as we noted at the top of this week's program, we are joined this week by families who are involved with our early care and education programs here in Aroostook County, who have children enrolled in our early care and education programs, as well as the Director of Programs, Sue Powers, who leads those programs for us, among many others, here in Aroostook County. And we're continuing our Community Action Month series conversations around the impact of ACAP programs in the community. And I want to start our discussion today by first visiting with you, Sue Powers, about one of the primary impacts that we make across Aroostook County is regarding childcare and early care and education programs in general. And we have seen a tremendous need for those programs, especially in the last year.
Thank you, Jason, for having us today. Childcare over the last year has changed drastically in Aroostook County and in the state of Maine. Many people have heard the state of Maine called a childcare desert. There have been more than 100 licensed providers close over the last year across the state due to increased costs and the ability to not stay open due to having to close for COVID. So childcare has become a hot topic. Families needing to go back to work need childcare. So in Aroostook County, we've tried to address that need through making as many available slots as possible in our childcare programs. We operate childcare programs in Holton, Presque, and Caribou for children between the ages of 6 weeks and 6 years.
Now, Sue, I know we were talking just before we started recording the interview about one of the things that folks don't always appreciate about the childcare programs that we offer is that the other programs that we offer in early care and education, particularly Head Start and Early Head Start, do have eligibility requirements in terms of income or other specific guidelines, but childcare is more open to the general community, correct?
That's correct. ACAP offers we're a private childcare provider, which means we offer licensed childcare classrooms. We offer developmental childcare. So we do have a curriculum. We're a curriculum-based program. We do child assessments. We meet children where they're at as far as their needs and where families want them to go with goals. We do goal setting. Being a private childcare provider, we do accept state of Maine subsidy or TANF subsidy. However, we also are happy to enroll families who are private pay families and do not qualify for any subsidy. So there are no income guidelines for ACAP childcare programs.
All right, let's bring in our parents now, Chelsea Johnson, Lynn McDonald, and Tim Goff. Chelsea, I'm going to start with you. Welcome all first, and thank you for joining us on this week's edition, this special Community Action Month series edition of ACAP Today. Chelsea, what Sue was just talking about, is that something that was a surprise to you in terms of being able to enroll your children in our programs?
I had initially not applied because I did think that there was an income or an eligibility issue. So I was really excited to learn that we could enroll and we could be included in that program despite not meeting certain eligibility or income guidelines. So yes, it was a surprise to me.
And Chelsea, was your family one of the families that was displaced by a recent closure of childcare? So you were in a position where you were in a real hurry to find something, correct?
Correct. I never could have imagined that it would have been this difficult to find childcare in Aroostook County. Yeah, I was explaining to Sue yesterday that we were having conversations in my family about certain family members trying to get early retirement to take care of my baby, and or me not continuing to work at a job that I love because there was no childcare. So yeah, it was a really scary situation to be in, and one that we never saw ourselves. We just never could have seen it coming.
And Lynn McDonald, let's talk about your experience. How did you connect first with childcare services through the Aroostook County Action Program?
It was basically through social media and friends and family. We saw that there was postings for ACAP childcare. Again, I did not think I would qualify. My husband works, I work. We're only a family of 3. So I kept on putting it off, and I was not finding childcare. So I applied. I figured this is my last resort. And I was shocked that it was just an immediate opening. We did a little bit of paperwork and I was accepted. And that was just great news. I just didn't realize, I thought it was all income based.
What kind of a burden did it take off of your shoulders? Chelsea was speaking about, some difficult decisions that were going to have to be made about potential relatives applying for early retirement or her stepping out of the workforce as well. What difference has it made for your 3-person household to be able to have reliable childcare?
So,
Yeah. Oops, sorry.
Oh.
I'll gladly take that from both of you. Absolutely. Let's
Go
start
ahead.
with you, Lynn, and I'll go back to Chelsea, and then I'm going to go over to Tim after that.
The struggle came in March. We were notified that the current daycare we were at was closing, and immediate anxiety, just stress, calling my husband saying, what are we going to do? We're both young. We both have decent jobs. So it's not like one of us could leave because that would impact our income to the household, things we could, there was just so much. And then thinking of being a parent, can I teach my child all the stuff that they're supposed to know before going to school? That was huge in my mind. He was into arts and crafts and numbers, and I don't know if I could have been a successful parent in teaching him what he needed to know. I needed somebody. That's what teachers are for, right? So that was huge. I don't have family near me. My family's more from the Fort Kent area. It was just a struggle. I mean, we were talking about one of us having to leave our jobs. I also talked to my employer, asked if I could do part-time. It was a very, very stressful month to go through that.
Now, Chelsea, I want to get your input on that too, and then we'll circle over to Tim. But in addition to sort of having the relief of actually having childcare, and Lynn spoke about this in her terms, there's also a level of quality that I think probably was a relief to your family in terms of knowing that you're not just dropping your child off at a center at the beginning of the day and knowing that they'll be cared for before you come back, but also the educational component. Talk about how that made you feel.
So we've spoken already about how childcare is difficult to come by. And so in the past, we had been in a center that we didn't really feel like was a good fit for our family. And I didn't feel super comfortable, but I knew I couldn't move him because there were no other options. So I was definitely in a position to stay at a facility that I wasn't comfortable with because we didn't have options. And then similar to Lynn, we were told our childcare facility that we ended up finding was closing, and we didn't get a lot of notice. And we know that there's no options. And so we were, like I said, having conversations about people retiring early and taking care of my baby. And also we were talking about selling vehicles. My lease was coming up and ending, so I was going to let my vehicle go, and we were going to try to just share one car. We were going to get rid of like certain things in the house, like trash pickup. We were going to try to do the dump instead. Like we were having these really crazy conversations to figure out how we could do this. And it was on social media that someone shared a post that ACAP was, they had slots for kids. And so I called, and I couldn't even believe it when they told me there was a slot. I was saying, so it's mine? Can I have it? Are you sure? And I was so nervous, even up until I said, I'm not going to relax. I'm not going to exhale until I drop him off there that first day. Like, I can't believe that I found childcare. And then not just childcare that's dependable, but I am so happy. We are so happy with the care that he gets there. I really feel like his teachers care about him and they care about his development, and the communication is amazing. Like we get a report card every single day about what he's working on at school, and we work on the same things at home. I could go on forever, but anyway, I'm just really happy. And this is where we're staying. We're staying with ACAP. We're so happy and so grateful that we didn't have to get rid of vehicles and trash pickup.
Now, Tim, the reason I saved you for last, thank you, Chelsea and Lynn, in this bringing into this conversation, because your experience was slightly different. You had the opportunity to experience before, just through this pandemic, ACAP services. So tell us about your family experience and connection with the agency.
Yeah, so my youngest daughter is on the spectrum. So we were receiving services at ACAP in the morning and shuttling my daughter to another childcare facility in the afternoon. And so that was how we were introduced to ACAP. COVID kind of had changed that model a little bit, where we went down to one facility, kind of in a more of a pre-K setup, because my daughter was doing very well. And so ultimately we had kind of transitioned out of ACAP for a little bit, because the opportunity was there for us to do, kind of one place, one day, less exposure. And then when the daycare announced that it was closing, it was a question of what could we do and where could we go. Unfortunately, it's our second daycare that's closed, that my daughter's been at, and she's only 4. So it was a bit of a surprise. We figured we were going to a meeting to pay more, and we're like, okay, how much more do we have to pay? Because that's just the situation is we'll find something else we can cut to make sure that we make sure that she gets an educational environment. And much to Chelsea's point, at least it wasn't a situation. We really love the daycare that closed, but we had our child in care situations where it was more about, a TV watching your child and somebody being on their phone too. And that wasn't palatable to us. So to be able to see not only that she gets services there, but to also get, classroom education. I know it's a major reason why my daughter's looking to go into kindergarten regular with her peers in the fall. So it's been huge for us.
That's great. Now, Sue Powers, the situations that Tim and Lynn and Chelsea are facing are very real and are sort of replicated across Aroostook County and throughout the state of Maine. The lack of childcare in the state has really become somewhat of a crisis, hasn't it?
It has become a crisis, Jason. Childcare is an expensive business to be in, and it's because of the support of ACAP and other programs that we operate that we're able to keep childcare going. We have always had a commitment to quality. We are a level 4 quality center on the state of Maine rating system, which is the highest level. We also are NACE accredited, which is a national accreditation of childcare centers. So quality, it has always been a huge part of our childcare culture, and we're not willing to let that go. So childcare at ACAP will always be a curriculum-driven program. And as Tim said, there are no TV sets in the classrooms. It's all active interaction with children based on children's needs and children's development. Parents have opportunities to feed into goals that teachers will work on with their children. So they have that input of what is it that you want for your child's early childhood education. So it is an experience that is very parent involved, very parent engaged. And we love working with all of the little people that are brought to us each day. And we love working with the parents and seeing the smiles at the end of the day.
Now, delivering.
So,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Addressing the need in Central Aroostook, Presque seems to have the most significant need. We opened 24 new slots at Goulville over the last month, and are in process right now of figuring out how we can open more. We actually in Presque have a wait list of 50 children. We do have a couple of openings in Caribou and a couple of openings in Holton. So if you're listening to this and you have children that you may need to get in to either of those communities, please give us a call, because we do have a couple of openings that will fill quickly.
Now, I just wanted to circle back when you were speaking about delivering such a high quality and highly interactive program. Where we're hoping that we're coming out of this pandemic as more and more people get vaccinated, but delivering that level of program on a normal day in a normal time is a challenge. But I'm certain it has been, and I know from our conversations that it has been a challenge through this pandemic. But I know you're incredibly proud of the team that has pulled this agency and the families through this challenging time. Talk about how things are different and what our hopes are in terms of moving forward when we get to the other side of this pandemic.
So we have an incredible team of providers in early care and education at ACAP. We have many very dedicated long-term teachers. We are not, we're not necessarily a just stop in and get a job kind of place. We have, our teachers are certified teachers. We have ed techs 2 and 3s working in classrooms with children. We encourage higher ed. So if you come in as an ed tech 2, we're going to push you to be an ed tech 3. If you come through the door and you are this far away from your associate's degree, we're going to push you to that associate's degree. We value professional development, and we have resources to help with that. That also creates challenges in this environment of finding people who have the certifications and have the qualifications to work in our classrooms. So many people who do follow the ACAP job postings will see that almost every week we have openings for ed techs and certified teachers. So if you know of anyone who might qualify, or anyone who is, like I said, this close to that certification, we encourage them to apply for employment, because we are always looking for new qualified people.
Tim Goff, what Sue's speaking about does speak to one of the challenges in the region, the labor market challenge. And as an employer with Machias Savings Bank, an organization that employs people across Aroostook County and across the state of Maine, the experience that you're experiencing as a parent in terms of that trying to ensure that you have children in a quality early childhood education center so that parents and people in the community can go to work is one that you're also feeling on the employer side of things. Isn't that correct?
Oh, absolutely. And I hear about it from businesses that we work with daily, you know, the issues that they have finding staffing, and some of that is driven by the fact that people can't go back to work because they can't find care for their kids. I'm lucky because my employer is very flexible. I was able to, you know, there was a lag time between when our daycare operator closed down and ACAP was able to ramp up additional rooms. So I was able to do some work from home and then have family kind of step in. So, but not everybody has that support system in place. And I certainly see that. I certainly hear that from a lot of people, that it is one of the reasons that folks aren't able to get back to work as much as they'd like to, or having to make some of those difficult choices, getting out of the labor pool. So it really does have far-reaching impacts, much more so than you would realize. And it has ripple effects, you know, just beyond, you know, my household. You know, my parents having to slide in and help with my kids or change appointments, or family, friends. You know, it really takes a village to raise these kids. So we're lucky to have that village around us.
Yes, yeah, and I know that you made the intentional choice to move back home to Aroostook County in part for that village, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's worked out. If I could have you know, predicted COVID was going to happen, I couldn't have been in a better place realistically to kind of weather that storm. So no, it is one of those things that kind of drove us to want to be back in this area, to have that support system. So it was luckily that we were here and made those decisions, and it's part of what's made it a lot easier for us.
And Lynn, I think as you pointed out in what you're saying, not everyone has that immediate access to parents or to others that they can rely on. So especially as we see new people moving into Aroostook County, new young families, which we're trying to encourage to grow the population and to keep our communities thriving, it can be a very real challenge, especially if you don't have that support network that you can just rely on for childcare when things go awry.
Right. I was just fortunate that my employer, just like Tim was talking about, I've been able to work at home, which I'm still at home. You know, so it was a little easier during that transition of when the daycare closed to when ACAP, because we were in his environment, you know. So it was a little easier in that aspect, but it would be nice to have family closer to, you know, rely on them and have them help out a little bit too.
And Chelsea, are you and your husband now in a more safe place, more secure place in terms of not having to, sit down and make those challenging decisions that you thought you might have to make if you were going to be faced with not having childcare?
Absolutely. And I think it reminded me when Tim was speaking about when we were thinking about me getting done, because we have health insurance through my husband, and he needed to stay working. And so I was thinking about getting done, and I have a job that I'm really passionate about. And I kept worrying that if I did have to get done, that my employer wouldn't be hiring when I was ready to come back. And and I also, as far as like far reaching effects, I was also really worried about having to explain a gap in my resume. So if I did have to get done work because I didn't have childcare, my next job interview, I think it would be, I wouldn't really believe it. I believe it now because I'm in it, but I would have a hard time believing anyone else that said I had to get done working because there were no daycares open. That would be, it's something, children and having a family should not be a barrier to people having employment. And so this ACAP saved the day. And, and really not only are we so happy that we have childcare, like we're so happy we get to keep our vehicles, but we're also just really happy that it's a development driven, it's a curriculum based, and even as far as infancy, that they're working on child development and all of that, and we just love it. We're so happy.
Sue, I think Chelsea just raised two critical points, and all three of our family guests have raised very critical points, that the link between childcare and economic development and workforce development in our region are inextricably linked.
Absolutely. About 67% of children under the age of 6 in Maine have both family members, both parents in the workforce. That's a significant number of children under the age of 6 that need childcare. So we're hoping that the American Recovery Act funds, along with other COVID relief funds that have been made available, the state of Maine is doing a really great job of getting those funds dispersed to help support childcare providers. We're hoping that new providers will come forward. Licensing fees have been waived for the next couple of years, so new providers coming on will not have those fees. We also know that the state of Maine is working on getting stipends out to childcare providers who do accept childcare subsidy. So there will be some monetary incentives for people to enter childcare or stay in childcare or expand childcare, which is all needed right now to get people back into the workforce, get people back into their jobs, and meet the really critical need of these very young children who need to be in a safe and accessible environment while their parents are at work.
And I think the other point that has come across loud and clear is what happens while their parents are at work and the children are in childcare. What happens during that time is critically important. The content of what happens during that time is.
Absolutely. Early brain development between birth and 5, when children actually enter public school, that those interactions, that conflict resolution, those social emotional skills that are developed in children are the very foundations of what will influence those kiddos as they go up through the school system and as they graduate high school, and go on to higher ed. So yeah, it's really important what's happening for those children in those early years.
All right. Well, thank you. Let's get some last thoughts from each of our guests. Chelsea Johnson, your last thoughts about the opportunity to connect with childcare and what you're seeing happening in your own child's development.
So I definitely appreciate that my infant is in an environment now where his development is really sort of put first, and there are no television sets or like radios playing and things like that. I really appreciate how engaged the teachers are with the kids, and I can tell that I can tell that because, you know, of his report card, we call it, that we get every day. And also just the report that we get from the teacher verbally when they're handing, you know, him back to us. He can't tell us about his day, but his teacher knows all that he did and everything he played with. And, you know, I know I keep repeating myself, but I just can't say enough good stuff. So anyway, I'm just really happy. And that's my final thought.
Well, looking forward to the day where you're not having to drop them off at the door and can actually come in and see their environment and be part of it. Lynn McDonald, your final thoughts on accessing quality childcare services and what it means for your family.
Like I said earlier, the development of my child, that was important to me. That was a big stressor for me. I wanted to make sure he was, you know, the social action, the socialness, the just being with friends and learning and different things. ACAP, top notch. My son's been there for 4 weeks. And he's already coming home. He's already got the numbers down packed. He's got, you know, it's just, he tells me these stories of all these arts and crafts that he's done. It makes me feel good to hear these stories from him, because I know that the instructors are there and they're there for them. So that's a positive. So ACAP has done tremendous for me and the family. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Tim, your thoughts?
You know, I'm just glad that somebody was able to step in and fill that void. You know, I think that's really one of the things that, you know, we kind of were looking at all these different options and ideas at the time. And then to just, you know, be able to get into a call with my child's care team and have the center director, Megan, say, hey, thinking about your kiddo, know she's a pretty special kid. We really like having her around. How would you guys like to come here full time? You know, that was just heaven sent, to be honest, you know, and I feel bad. I mean, to hear that there's 50 other families or at least 50 kids and all those different families and the impacts that, you know, that this has. So I'm certainly hopeful that ACAP or other providers are able to kind of get back online as things start to normalize around us.
And Sue Powers, you get the last word on next steps and what's coming in childcare. You've given us a little bit of a preview in terms of things that are moving forward in the state, but I'm sure you're hopeful, and I know that you're doing a lot of work to help make it better for families like the three that have shared their stories with us today.
So at ACAP, we make life better. That's what we strive for every day. And we are working on that wait list, Tim. So we're working on some solutions to hopefully address some of that need. So more to come. Stay tuned to the social media, because you probably will be hearing about more opportunity. I also am happy to support any private childcare providers in the community that are looking to how to access the CURSA funds, how to access the ARPA funds. Any of those COVID relief funds, if you are questioning how do we access those, please give us a call. We'll help you with that. We want to support private providers in the community at any time we can. So we're going to work on that list and hopefully make more opportunities available in the very near future.
Certainly, as Tim pointed out, that's our part in being part of this village of Aroostook County that we call home, and helping each other out. So Sue Powers, Tim Goff, Lynn McDonald, Chelsea Higgins, thank you all for joining me on this edition of ACAP Today. It's much appreciated, and especially appreciate the stories that you've shared and the impact that the programs have made on the lives of your families. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And finally, before we leave you on this week's edition of ACAP Today, we end as we always do with our snapshot of the week. This is just an indication of how far the cereal collection donation that Thompson Financial and Smith Farms challenged each other to do early in the month of March. We are still providing cereal to a number of community organizations. This here is Gordon Buzza, and he was picking up over 300 boxes of cereal that were going to the Grace Interfaith Food Table in Presque. We've had folks from Van Buren, from the St. John Valley Fish River Rural Health, and Adopt a Block down in Holton. So this cereal has gone far and wide and is still helping to feed county families thanks to the generosity of Thompson Financial, Smith Farms, and the many community members and partner organizations that help do the cereal drive back in early March. So thank you to Gordon, and thank you to all of the volunteers that are helping to get this cereal out across Aroostook County. It certainly is making a difference and making an impact in our communities. And with that, that's this week's edition of ACAP Today. I'm Jason Parent with the Aroostook County Action Program. Thanking you all for joining us. We'll be back next week with our final Community Action Month episode of ACAP Today, squeezing it out as next week is the very end of May 31st, next Monday. Our last edition of ACAP Today for the Community Action Month series heads your way next week. Have a great weekend, everyone, and enjoy your Memorial Day.
We chose to get vaccinated because felt strongly that every person has a part in trying to stop this COVID. I want my children to be able to go to school without masks, really being able to socialize. Restaurants, I miss going out to eat.
We certainly miss traveling. It's been a while since I've been able to get out of the state of Maine, so I absolutely recommend that everyone get vaccinated. Don't wait, vaccinate!